Hello and welcome to episode 52 of Life in General. My name is Nick.
And I'm Ian. Handicapped Ian, apparently.
Oh, geez, Ian.
Everyone has a handicap.
What's your handicap?
Apparently my personality.
Oh. Well, we've known about that for a while.
Yeah, well, you like to reiterate it sometimes.
Sometimes. As always, you can email us on any questions or comments to contact at lifeandgeneralpodcast.com. Check us out on Facebook and on Twitter. Ian, what's our Twitter handle?
At LIG Pod.
There you go. Ian's now got that correct for like 3 episodes in a row.
3 or 4, yeah.
Yeah, and he got it wrong for like the first 40-some episodes. So
yeah, or so.
Ian, what's our email address, our website? Do you know that?
Life in General Podcast.
.com. Correct. So
I don't think you don't really need to put that in there.
Why not?
Because Google search.
Because, well, you could have a bunch of it could be dot whatever.
It's .com.
Yes, it is. Ian.
Just Google search Life in General Podcast. It'll come up.
It probably will. Yeah.
So
well, at least I hope it does.
Shut the fuck up.
You should.
Sorry, we actually have guests here too.
Yeah, so we are joined by Mandy.
Hello.
And Eric.
Hi. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, you guys have both been on the show. Mandy, what are you sitting like that for?
Okay. She's sitting, people who are listening. She's fine.
I sit with a straight back.
Yeah.
She has good posture.
Yeah, I don't.
No.
So we don't have a topic for this, really. And last time we didn't have a topic, it was all Ian's fault. Because I don't remember exactly what happened, but
I said, let's do an episode with no topic. Let's just talk about shit. And you're like, oh, and he fought me. And then after we did it, you just blame it on me. You're like, no, it sucked because we didn't have a topic.
Well, it probably sucked because you were on it, but...
Well, I can't argue with that.
What? What are you rolling your eyes for, Mandy? What?
Stop picking on him.
Well, that's what we do.
Be nice.
Exactly.
But this time we don't have a topic because it's my fault. Because I've been so damn busy, and with the holidays and everything, it was kind of hard to come up with something. So we're just going to talk about some random stuff.
And I came with notes, too.
Ian actually has a lot of notes. So we're going to start off with what Ian was going to talk about.
Sure.
Which was?
Well, I got a bunch of stuff. Trigger warning, since Mandy's telling you to be nice to me and you're creating anxiety inside of me.
Is she feeling triggered?
No, well, yeah, because she's afraid I might be triggered.
Exactly.
So she's looking out for me. But no, apparently the University of Michigan did a research study that was testing whether or not trigger warnings were effective.
We're at U of M. What was? Does it say what department was doing it?
Social psychology.
Okay.
Well, at least that's the journal it was put into. Izzy Gainsberg and Allison Earle.
Yeah, because I know who those people
of the
are.
Department of Psychology.
I had lunch with them last week.
Did you? Did you really? Yeah. I was invited to that one, but I was having lunch with Trump that week. So
you probably were.
I was. We were discussing Russia.
Shots fired. Shots fired.
He still hasn't confessed to me about that. I thought we were friends. But
not so much.
Yeah, it was an interesting. I've got the whole study in my hand.
Uh-huh.
And
how many pages is it? Not that it really matters, but
12 pages.
Okay,
not too bad. But they asked 80 people about their anticipated emotional behavior responses to about warned content. Content that says this will have offensive language or whatever. And the participants indicated that they expected to feel more anxious when engaging with content that was given a trigger warning. If that makes any fucking sense.
Yes, it does.
Does it?
Yes.
It's counter.
Talking to the microphone.
Now that you said that, I completely understand that.
Okay. But the end result was that people who, after having the trigger warning and being exposed to whatever it is they were warned about, felt that the warnings were good, but they didn't feel more protected.
Okay.
Does that make any sense either?
I think so,
okay.
Yeah.
Like, essentially
because they were triggered by the trigger.
maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I said, I mean, that's just this kind of a summing up of it. And then they in a third study, they did 3 studies. 275 participants in the second study. They showed them videos, and based on their titles, which had trigger warnings in them, and they I'm sorry, I'm reading at the same time I'm talking. They rated how they expected to feel while watching the video. And the findings showed the videos with the warning were avoided more often than those without the notice. Which, I mean, that's kind of, again, if you're prone to being triggered by whatever, you're going to be less likely to watch. That's kind of the point, right?
I guess, yeah.
You know this movie's rated R. You know R-rated movies have a certain amount of
if you
violence.
know you don't like curse words and they tell you there's going to be curse words,
right?
You're going to be turned off.
You're going to be turned off. And then the third study, people were randomly assigned an essay involving domestic violence, one that only had a title.
So they didn't actually watch anything. They just saw a title of it?
Well, no, they were given an essay to read.
Oh, okay.
And
about
with
the movie?
No, this is just in general. This is all just trigger warning.
But they didn't read it. They just read the title?
No.
You said it was an essay.
It was an essay.
Yeah.
Let me read it again to you. They were randomly assigned an essay involving domestic violence. One only had a title. The other that had the title, or another had a title and a warning indicating distressing content.
Gotcha.
So some people were given just an essay that with no title, and they had to read it in order to figure it out.
So I'm assuming the title.
Oh, and then there was a third. Okay, there's three essays. One with no title, one with a title, and one with a title and a warning.
Okay.
And participants with some type of warning had less negative reactions than those who were not alerted to potential distress, the study showed. What really got me was this line right here, and it said, "The research finds that some people feel less negative about the content when they receive trigger warnings, but those who believe them to be protective do not feel better for having had these alerts." That's what caught my attention to the article. And because essentially what that says is that even if there are trigger warnings, most people would prefer not to be exposed to it at all.
Okay.
Not to even have it available. No, not in this country. It doesn't surprise me at all. But it kind of bothered me because it can lead to censorship when you have a study that shows that people, even with being warned that they may not like it, feel it's necessary not to have it available. That's kind of what I got from that.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm reading too much into that.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think they're just kind of illustrating that it doesn't help as much as people think it does.
Right.
Because
agree.
like if you have a movie and you say, "Warning, someone's going to get decapitated in 30 seconds," and you sit there and watch someone get decapitated, you're not going to feel better about it.
Right.
It doesn't help the underlying, graphic whatever or trigger or what have you. But at the same time, I think the warning is important, but it doesn't change the content.
Right, but does the fact that people who don't consider the warning effective, I mean, we do.
What's the alternative?
Not having it at all.
Well,
saying you can't do that anymore.
That's an inch. I don't know that I get that from the study. That we're trying
this is just a study, but you do. I mean, we see that all the time.
I mean, that's life, though. If you are warned about something and you choose to watch it anyway, what else is there to do?
Well, but we do see that. We see. I'm sorry. I know you want to say something, Mandy. We see things like this all the time, where even though people know that this content can be offensive, they want it eliminated. They don't want it even available.
Well, that's
especially
not new.
when it comes to children. But when you start putting scientific studies to it, it can potentially add fuel to that argument. Potentially.
Yeah, I see. I see what you're saying.
So, what did you have to
take
say?
it a different way. I feel like if you are warned, then you're looking for it. You are fixating on it. You're waiting for this to happen.
Right.
So if I don't know anything about the movie, if I don't know there's going to be curse words, if I don't know there's going to be decapitation, I'm not expecting that. So when it happens, I'm not as affected by it.
Or you're processing it differently now.
Right.
Yeah, makes sense. For me personally, I think warnings should only apply to people who want them. I mean, have them for everything, sure, but
if you warn somebody, then you're preparing them, and then they're already going to be triggered
Yeah.
before it happens.
Right, and the study did find that to some degree.
Yeah.
So
don't tell people about it. Let them.
but then if you don't tell them, then they could be doubly
Right.
offended or
but I
doubly.
think
Maybe
it's on them.
But
that's on them.
Right.
Don't be so damn sensitive about
Right.
things.
If you tell going
Or
back
know
to
what
that
you're going to
example.
watch.
Yeah, exactly.
If you tell somebody this is a video of someone getting decapitated and you freaking watch it, you can't say I was traumatized by that because you knew what it freaking was, right?
Especially with movies, because you can go online and read a bunch of reviews and see what the movie's about before you go see it. There actually IMDb has parental guides.
And it breaks down everything,
Yes.
every
Exactly.
curse word, every
Yes.
sex scene, every
Yes.
nudity.
Right.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't be surprised,
Right.
And if you choose to watch it,
That's on you.
with that information.
But that's not the society we live in.
No,
Oh,
well, yeah,
that's
you're right.
part of the
You're-
problem.
You're right, but yeah, I think information is important, but censorship is not the logical conclusion of that.
It is for a lot of people.
Well,
No.
hopefully not enough.
Well, not enough yet. But, I mean, if people had their way, The Simpsons would have been taken off the air in
Yeah.
1989.
But again,
Yeah.
that's not new either. This
No.
has happened in every
Oh
generation.
yeah, that was an issue back then also.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It just,
And
we
it's
live
still
in...
an issue sometimes now with my kids.
Right.
I feel like they've really pushed the boundaries though.
They have gone
Late-
beyond.
Well,
the
they've
last-
had to
the last
stay
couple
more
of
relevant.
years.
They've had to stay more relevant to...
I mean, and they've always kind of pushed it a little bit, but I feel like sometimes they kind of go overboard.
Yes,
with-
they do.
But a lot of other shows go further over.
Right,
Yeah, no,
that's-
but
I think
they
it's...
had to compete.
Yeah, that's what I see. Is
You know what
more-
though? The Simpsons don't really have to compete though.
They
They're,
do.
they're
should-
established
No,
already.
they actually,
Yes.
but they do because
Right, because there's still viewership. They're still selling
Yeah,
advertising.
but their
time.
viewership doesn't really. I don't think is affected by them not going to the depths.
You think that the Simpsons are getting the same viewership now that they were getting 20 years ago?
No, but you're going to lose viewership over. I mean, God, they've been around for what 30
years.
Yeah, 30 years. So
there's a cult
How are they
following.
staying around if they're not being followed, though?
they are.
It's a cult.
So then it's fine. Like,
There's actually a religion built around the Simpsons.
It's not surprising at all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's interesting.
Nick goes. The meetings are on Tuesdays.
I don't really work Tuesdays.
Tuesday.
Yeah. I was gonna say,
Wednesdays or Thursdays.
Yeah.
You're good.
if it was anyone else, I'd be like, nah, but I don't know.
So yeah, that's
He's been fooled by other religions,
it's
so what the hell?
shut up, whatever.
Seeing how my son wakes up every morning and asks if there's a new Simpsons episode, and I'm like, baby, no, they only come on Sundays.
Yeah,
Every morning he wakes up. Is there a new Simpsons episode? Is there a new Simpsons
he seems
episode?
like he watches a lot of
He
Simpsons.
seems like he's ready for
He
the cult.
really loves it.
Yeah,
But yeah, so I mean, it's an interesting study. I'll have to read it.
yeah. I brought a copy. So, and if anyone out there who listens to the show, it was posted in the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology. So
Okay,
you can look it up.
interesting. What else do you have to talk about, Ian?
You're gonna leave this all to me?
What else has been going on? I don't know. I got political stuff to talk about, but
Well, why don't we alternate here?
because all mine kind of I have like one long political topic really, but what?
So is this how you feel when I come unprepared?
Yes, because I am unprepared. Ian
All
has
right, well,
notes.
I sympathize. It's not going to change anything, but I do sympathize.
Burn in hell.
I thought it was interesting that they're decommissioning the Kepler telescope.
Yeah, what was the whole deal behind all that though? I didn't.
Where it's positioned between us and the sun.
Yeah.
So it's too far away to refuel. And it's just, it's running out of fuel. So there's
Okay.
no point in
So what is?
worrying about it.
What's the alternative to?
Well, Hubble's still working, I think.
Is it?
I
Yeah,
think
it
so.
is.
So, and NASA just got a big boost in the budget to send an international team back to the moon for the
It
first
should be the
time
first time
in
since the '60s.
70s.
Who did that?
Well, yeah, right. It was the '70s. Yep.
Trump.
Really?
Yeah.
Ah,
Well, it's all part of his Space Force.
I
so
feel
that's-
gross now.
I know, because it's like you kind of want it, but then you're like, it's like getting a gift from that creepy uncle who
Right,
like touches
you're
you inappropriately, but you really like the gift. You know,
Oh, this is a
I really
sweet
wanted
video
this
game, but-
I really wanted this iPhone, but I got it from Uncle Joe, and
He likes to diddle me.
he makes me touch him weird places. I don't know.
Oh,
6 of one, half a dozen of another. I don't know, but.
God.
And part of that budget does go towards an exploratory study towards getting us to Mars by the 30s.
What's the?
Elon Musk is
that's
thrilled.
that's a whole different topic because I think the whole Mars thing is kind of dumb for the. For
Hey,
Is
Elon
it
Musk
really
is gonna
that
come
dumb?
after you?
is it really that dumb when we're destroying this planet? You know, if the human race is going to survive, it's going to have to go out. Yeah, it's going to have to leave this planet.
But okay, let's talk about Mars. If you're going to go to Mars, if you want to pretend, go to the desert, bring your own water, and to make it fun, bring your own air, and see how long you last.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, it's
like that.
It's just not, at this point. It's not very feasible.
No.
Well, was it feasible to go to the moon for no reason in 69? I mean, we did it because
it was feasible because we did it.
It's feasible. We can do Mars. Mars is feasible.
No, I'm not
I
saying
think
we can't do it. I'm just saying it's not necessarily better.
But it's a start.
Habitable Earth is actually still better than Mars.
And I'm not even saying we go there to colonize. I'm just saying it would be
go there to vacation,
study. Yeah. There's plenty of things that we got 2 rovers there. One just landed successfully.
Yes.
But there's things that machines can't see and can't analyze the way that humans can. And the human experience of doing it, you know? I mean, when was the last time the human race did anything so grand as the moon shot? That was 50 years ago.
August of 79. That's when I was born.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
I tend to drink heavily on that day because it's a dark day in the annals of human history.
You know, I do think the U.S. space program is something we definitely should be putting money into. Agreed. I just don't know how much resources we should put at this point to Mars exploration.
To be honest, I think the moon is a better target to go back to because that is the stepping stone. Because lack of gravity, you could build something on Mars that would launch you, or I mean, not Mars, I'm sorry, the moon, that would launch you further into space, and you have less gravity to fight to get off.
Fair enough.
Mars, it's like I said, it's like Earth, but with less resources. So it's not.
Well, the whole point of it is. Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
For me, it's the point.
The microphone is pointed enough towards you.
For me, it's. I don't see any limitations. I think if you want to go to Mars, go to Mars because there's things to be learned there. We don't know enough about. Well, the argument is that we don't know enough about.
I don't know if it's any good. It's been in the.
It's a stout. It holds up really well. It's been in there a few months. I brought it. Got the thumbs up on the stout.
Yeah.
It's not about. It's the things that we can learn. The people say, there's plenty of area on this planet we haven't studied, we haven't explored. Fair enough, but why do we have to limit ourselves? I would much rather our resources and our growth as a species go in every direction. Go up to, go to Mars, explore the moons of Jupiter. I mean,
yes.
All of it. To me, there's no limit to what we can do, and I don't think that it's a matter of feasibility or resources or what can be gained physically from it. I think it's all about expanding the human pursuit, the human adventure.
I agree with you.
Yeah, and I agree also. And like I said before, I think there's definitely merit to it. Mm-hmm. I just don't know how much at this point how much resources we should be putting towards Mars.
Right, and I get that.
I think that's what I'm debating.
Yeah,
ultimately, all we're doing is when we go to the moon, and we're building those places to launch farther in from because it's makes sense. All we're doing is building Trump Tower on the moon. It's
at this particular stage, I agree with you, but hopefully it'll get beyond that.
Yeah.
We have to look at the private sector for space for space
Elon
travel.
Musk has you covered.
Does he really though?
He does.
Does he though?
I think he does.
I don't know.
I think the jury's still out for me on Mr. Musk. Because first of all, I don't understand.
Well, then Jeff
his name.
Bezos will get you covered. You got 2.
Well, and I'm contributing more to him because I buy from Amazon all the time.
Yes, you do.
So at least I'm fine. I could
try not to.
I can say I personally finance
or Blue Origin or SpaceX. Yeah. Which would you like?
I'm fine with having both. If it has to be a competition,
absolutely, and it kind of is.
I would like to go into space before I die, and I don't care who gets me there.
In fact, if I remember correctly, there was actually a Twitter war between Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk about somebody was going to get somewhere first,
right?
And Elon Musk was like, "Okay, do it." So I don't know where we're at on that war, but
I mean, I don't expect to walk on the moon or walk on Mars, but I would like to go into space. I would like to say I've been in space.
It'd be nice if it
No,
was
I'm
more
good. I'm good on the
commonplace.
ground.
Yeah.
Well, and that was the whole point of the whole X Prize thing back in the day. Was the idea is to make it less of a hurdle to actually get
to space.
out there,
Right?
Yeah. If we're talking satellites, if we're talking a new rover, if we're talking
Travel,
pick your target, explore it. And I think there's a lot to be gained from that.
Right.
But I think that focusing just on Mars is a mistake. That's all.
Oh, I agree, but I think I would much rather our vision be farther out than closer in. You know what I mean?
That's a fair point.
That's if you're shooting for Mars and you make it to the moon, great. At least there's some progress. If you're shooting to Mars and you make it to just halfway there, whatever. I'd much rather our goals be farther out rather than closer in.
And that makes sense.
That's because I think that's what defines us as a species. What separates us from all the other animals, all the other primates on this planet, is our ability to do this kind of stuff. And I think we've stagnated as a species, specifically intellectually, for the last 100 years, 50 years at least.
Well, I'd say the last 20 to 30, yeah.
Well, I'm talking that's the public for sure. But
I mean, even overall,
but yeah, we're stagnating, and history shows us when a culture stagnates, it falls. And I think it's time to push ourselves to explore beyond what we are.
Okay.
I don't know. That was just interesting to me. So
gotcha.
For info, Kepler's primary job was to look for Earth-like planets, and they
found quite a few of them.
2,682 total thus far. And the data's still coming in, and there's still 2,900 candidates that they're analyzing.
It's a good run.
What was the yearly budget for?
I didn't look that up because I don't care about that kind of stuff. I mean, I should, but I don't. I think if it's worth doing, you just do it.
Well, but I mean, what I'm saying though is if it's not that big of a number, I mean,
right. Well, right now, decommissioning Kepler is more of
a functional
thing. They just can't refuel it.
Yeah,
it's too far away.
I got you.
But it was launched in March 9th of 2009.
Yeah.
So it hasn't even been up there that long.
Yeah, it hasn't.
And those are pretty good results to get in what, 9 years?
Yeah.
So almost 10.
Oh no, that's all I had for it.
That was just another topic I had. So.
Well, when you consider that Hubble didn't really work when they launched it,
right? Yeah,
and then they fixed it, so that was a project in itself.
Yeah, and I'm going to look it up, but I'm pretty sure Hubble's still functioning.
I believe it is.
Yeah, so,
I think it is.
I mean, and that's opened up a huge amount of the universe to us. I mean, we can see distant galaxies. We can actually look almost all the way back to the Big Bang, or as you like to call it, Genesis. You know,
I've said for a long time I believe in the Big Bang.
I don't think the Hubble telescope has found Adam and Eve yet, but poor Mandy. She's just sitting here going, "What the fuck are we talking about?"
No, why again?
Oh, why again? Because I keep bringing that up.
Well,
the next topic you might have something to maybe I don't know.
I was gonna. The only thing I really had noticed that I wanted to bring up was the current lame duck session that we're in Michigan politics.
Oh yes.
So, for anyone out there that doesn't know, there's a period from the election until January. In January, the new incoming people get sworn in. So there's a gap.
Yeah.
From November until January till all the outgoing people can do whatever they want. So that's the lame duck session. So prior to the November election, at least the big thing that kind of caught my eye was, so there was obviously the push to get legalization of recreational marijuana on the ballot.
Right.
But there was also a push to get a $12 an hour minimum wage and guaranteed paid sick leave on the ballot also. And it looked like it was going to be on the ballot. They were, I don't know if they had enough votes, signatures for it, but they were pretty damn close, at least, if they didn't. So in September, the Michigan legislature decided to preemptively pass it. So it would.
We should point out it's a Republican legislature.
Yes, and the difference between
they didn't correction. They didn't pass it. They took up the measure.
No, it was because
It was not passed.
Yes, it was.
They took it up.
It
It
was
goes into
passed.
effect January 1st.
It goes into effect March of next year.
Oh, I
The
thought it was
whole
January.
thing?
Yeah.
The whole thing.
Yeah, it passed.
Yeah.
As is.
So they passed a law in September, and it was signed.
I didn't know
It was
that.
signed by Governor Snyder that it would phase in over to 2022. I think is when the $12 an hour minimum wage was going to go in effect. So it was going to be phased in over several years.
Because, you balling at $12 an hour.
So
Right.
So
Nothing like shooting for the bottom.
So
right?
they passed the legislation. It was signed. So after the election, they have now gone back and they have introduced a bill that will, instead of 2022, it goes in effect. It's 2030.
Right.
The way the law was passed in September, it would guarantee you, I believe it was 9 days a year paid sick leave, and then 1 hour of medical leave per 30 hours that you work. So now they've changed it. The new bill that's been introduced would drop it from 9 days a year to 4 days a year, and only in 1 hour of medical leave for every 40 hours you work.
Added bonus, I think any business with under 50 employees was exempt now,
and that's usually
would
the
be
case
exempt.
with a lot of these.
Yeah.
which is a bunch of horse shit.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry.
And the other thing was,
but-
when they passed the law, it didn't exempt tipped workers.
And the new
So
one does.
The new one caps tipped workers at $4 an hour.
Boy.
So, and the big difference is, if it had been on the ballot and been voted on, the Republican-controlled Michigan legislature would need a 3/4 vote
Yes.
to overturn it.
Right.
Now, since they passed it themselves, they only need a simple majority, which they have in both houses and in the
until
governor's
January.
mansion until January
Right.
Till January.
to overturn it.
So let's go ahead and see how much damage we can do until January.
That's typical
and
Republican
and
thinking.
that's kind of what it's
the
been
House
too.
is doing the same thing. Have you heard about? Sorry, I don't want to hijack your conversation.
No,
No,
go ahead,
bring it
go
up.
ahead.
Yeah.
James Comey fighting the House subpoena to testify in a closed-door session because he's pissed off about all the leaks that are very selective and very misleading. He wants an open hearing, and he's going to try and basically drag this out until January.
Yeah.
Because then he knows he'll get the open hearing.
Exactly. Oh, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
'Cause
Well,
they
to
have
me,
the House.
that's okay. I don't mind a little transparency in legal
No, for sure,
proceedings,
but it's just a case of them trying to screw up as much as they can in the lame duck session.
right.
before
Oh, you're
they-
talking about
they're
the
out.
ones who want the closed door session.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
They're trying to get it done before January.
Right.
But it's not just the sick leave and the minimum wage.
Right.
They're also rolling back part of Proposition 1, which legalized recreational marijuana. So when we all voted, and it was passed overwhelmingly in the state, part of it gave you it legalized the ability for you as an individual to grow up to 12 plants
Right.
on your property a year.
Right. Under restrictions.
Now,
but,
from
yeah.
what I read, though, because it was actually passed, it's very unlikely they'll get the 3/4 they need
Correct.
to actually pass
Correct.
that.
Because they want to
change.
gut that part of it. They want to take that out because they said it goes against the spirit of the law. Basically, is what they said. Because the
Could
whole
you
the
argue-
the whole
It
purpose
goes
of,
against the profits of the law.
well, hold on. Well, that too. But if you look at Prop 1, basically what it's doing is it's creating a regulatory process for marijuana.
Right.
So,
So that it can be consumed legally.
correct.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at, and I don't agree with what they're doing. I can understand
Part
some
of
of the reasoning behind it,
Right.
but I don't agree with it. Because what they're saying is, okay, so if you're allowed to grow, if everyone in your neighborhood's allowed to grow 12 plants, you're creating a lot of unregulated marijuana in neighborhoods.
True.
Because you can't sell it, but you can give it away.
Right.
Now, we did an episode a while ago about home brewing.
And it's the same kind of deal.
This is the exact same thing.
It is.
Yes, you can still buy beer, and you can also still brew beer. You can buy, and what will happen going forward? You can buy quality, you can grow your own of variable quality, but this is the same type of deal. I mean, the choice should be up to the individual.
Correct. And that's why I say I don't agree with what they're doing,
Yeah.
but I do understand some of the reasoning behind it.
And really, it's easy to make a comparison between weed and home brewing, growing weed and home brewing.
Mm-hmm.
But there are differences too. There are distinctions that you can apply. It's a lot harder to brew beer than it is to grow weed, theoretically.
That's true.
Theoretically,
a lot of work.
you I guess in the grand scheme, it's it comes down to the perception of it too. Everyone drinks beer to some degree. Everyone's had a beer. You know, not everyone smokes weed
Yet.
Well, I mean, and
a lot of people still won't be able to.
Right.
Yeah.
And but there's still that perception of it being that criminal element.
True.
You know, so I don't know if I'd feel comfortable with everyone on my block growing weed because my block would smell like skunk. And that kind of bothers me a little bit. I voted for it. I voted for legalizing it. But I also think that part of the argument for getting it legalized is the revenue it can create.
Yeah.
Because that's where it's going to, if it's not creating revenue, there's no argument to keep it.
Yeah.
Because you can't convince people who don't do it or who are against it. You can't convince them that it's a good thing.
True.
Unless you have the money behind it.
What's up, Mandy?
Well, I was just going to also say that, can we talk about, like...
Just turn it. There you
All right, thank you. The criminalization of it. How many, like, the police force is going to be focused on other things now? Can we take care of the other criminalization?
That's why we all
Stop
voted
worrying
for
about
it.
weed.
Yeah. So real
Can we
quick.
stop putting people who sell marijuana in jail and take away the rapist and the murderers and the killer? Like
Now, granted, legalizing recreational marijuana has been shown. I just did a research paper on this in school. Of course, I picked legalization of pot to do it on. But so there's a county. I remember the county in Colorado. After it was, they just released a study earlier this year that said just in their one county, there is, they're making $58 million a year in that county off of
that's tax revenue.
Yes, off the industry. Now, granted, they're saying 20 to 30 million of that is going to additional police resources, but still, that's a $20+ million a year net gain just for this one county.
Right. And police resources that should apply because they're not now busting a bunch of kids on the street
that are not criminals.
That are not criminals because they have weed on them. Mm-hmm. Now they can maybe focus on the rapists and the murderers and the real criminals.
Yes.
Aren't they supposed to start reevaluating the a lot of the convictions that have already?
You've got to pass a law for that.
I thought this law would do that.
No. The Proposition 1 did nothing retroactively for people that were put in prison.
Well, that should be fixed right away.
Well, Governor-elect
Whitmer
has said that she plans on doing something about.
Well, I hope so. Yeah. I hope so.
About that moving forward, but at least for the people that have small convictions.
How do we follow up with that?
You just have to watch her.
She can pardon them.
Yeah.
It's really easy for her.
But to make it so that they're
take it up.
A
they
pardon,
can actually pass
but
a retroactive pardon.
But if they don't, she has remedies she can do on her own.
Yes.
And pardoning doesn't clear their record, though, whereas
Correct.
the law would.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
So their records need to be expunged too. If that's all they were arrested for and that's all they're in jail for, then their records need to be cleared away.
I mean, there's people that are in there for like 20, 30 years for selling marijuana.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's typically minorities.
Yes.
It's mostly black men
in Detroit and in all these poverty areas.
Well, when the war on drugs was put into place in the early 70s by Richard Nixon, that was part of the whole aspect of it, was punishing his opponents, which were hippies basically,
right,
and minorities. And who did marijuana laws impact negatively the most? Minorities and hippies at the time.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, fuck the hippies, but
well, yeah, because now they're all yuppies ruining our.
Well, yeah, they're either
corporatists,
or they're the people
country.
who they created the vegan movement and the hipster movements and all that other
What's
shit.
wrong with vegans?
What's not wrong with vegans?
What's wrong with vegans?
I know
Nick,
several.
that is a different topic. We are not going there.
I know vegans and they're fine people, but veganism, it's like I just don't get it. To have to put that much effort into your diet just to make sure you get halfway to...
It's not natural.
It's not natural. Humans have evolved to be meat eaters. I don't like it.
Meat,
I couldn't
vegetables,
be
and
a
fruit.
vegan, but I don't have an issue with people that are vegans.
Oh, I don't either. Do whatever the fuck you want. I'm live and let live kind of guy. I don't have to like it though. I don't have to say, oh, that's a beautiful decision. I think it's a stupid decision. But do you? I don't care. But I don't like it. I think it's stupid. There is a correlation. There are a lot of vegans who are non-vaxxers because it's not to them that's
Sorry,
not
I didn't
natural.
mean to go there, but
Yeah, and don't get me started on that because I think we
Right.
agree. I think non-vaxxers are a health threat
Yeah,
to the entire population.
That's really simple. But there was
Apparently, it's not that simple.
yeah, not to them.
We've had outbreaks of measles. We didn't have and polio.
Yeah.
New strains of polio.
Smallpox, It's
chickenpox,
all
which I
coming
thought
back.
chickenpox were gone. You know.
They were after us, not before
Yeah,
us.
right. We all got the chickenpox, but then they came out with the vaccine and no one got chickenpox, and now they're getting it again.
when we were kids, they had chickenpox parties. where
Yeah.
Yeah.
you'd all go
Somebody
over
got
someone,
chickenpox, you go to their
go
house.
to the house so you can get it.
Right. Eric will remember this. Do you remember that episode of South Park where the parents did that, and the kids found out that they got the chickenpox is a form of herpes, so they went to like all these whores and prostitutes and stuff, and like took their parents' toothbrushes and put it in their underwear and stuff, and then the parents all got mouth herpes.
Funny as hell.
Form of herpes?
It is it's a form of herpes.
Yeah.
No, it isn't.
It's not.
No, it's not.
Oh, I always thought it was.
Nope.
I didn't know that. I didn't think that was.
I was told it was, but it wasn't that episode, and I thought it was free
Oh
fun.
no, you can get
You can learn everything.
you can get
from
herpes
you.
of the eyes. I mean,
That's true. Yeah. Thankfully, I don't have herpes, so I'm all right.
so another thing that I saw that they were kind of doing was, and this is, I haven't seen a whole lot about it, but they're trying to they're trying to pass legislation. Now, granted, a lot of this isn't going to pass,
Right.
but they're trying to take away power from the Attorney General, the Governor, and the Secretary of State.
And that's at a state level.
On a state level.
Yeah.
But I swear to God, it's just a coincidence.
It's just a coincidence that they're all Democrats and they're all women, but it's just a coincidence.
Right. Because they were actively trying to do that before, right?
Well, no. Well,
That's my point.
So,
That's my point.
hold on. So one of them. I don't remember who it was, but there was somebody that came out last week. I read an article that they were saying, well, even if it was a Republican that was going to be governor, we would still try to pass this. Like, yeah, because you tried that for the last 8 years, right?
Yeah, for never.
But it's really interesting. So yeah, they're trying to take away some legal standing from those three positions.
Huh. And it confuses me that Republicans are so blatant about this, and no one cares.
Yeah, nobody does.
No one cares. Now a Democrat even suggests something anywhere near that, and the whole fucking country would blow their their top.
You mean like attacking a corporation for?
Well, and I mean that's even just Obama. You look at Obama. If Obama couldn't have said anything.
No,
I mean he didn't. But
he couldn't come out and say the things that Trump has said against GM and get away with it.
Right.
Well, at the risk of just going back to shit you've probably already talked to death here.
Right.
Like, honestly, this is my whole complaint about the Trump administration. Like, anything that comes out of his mouth, I want every Republican in the world to picture this coming out of Obama's mouth
And how they would react.
and how
the
they
same
would
way.
react.
Mm-hmm.
If they can actually visualize it,
They can't.
yes.
See, but that goes both ways, Eric.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it
doesn't.
sure
No,
as hell.
fucking
Okay,
doesn't.
hold on one
All
second.
right, go ahead.
So there's this big uproar for the past week or so about the whole tear gas at the border thing.
Uh-huh.
Okay, you do understand that we did that a lot under President Obama, correct?
Right.
No, I didn't know that.
Yes.
No,
Okay.
I didn't know that either.
And I worked in immigration, so I probably knew a little more about it at the time. But yes, it was a very common thing for.
But he didn't talk about it. He didn't advertise it.
Correct,
so-
but Democrats
Nobody knew.
Democrats didn't seem to have an issue with it then.
because we didn't know about it.
But
We didn't know what was going on.
But no one knew about it. I mean, it wasn't.
We just said 3 of us.
Okay,
did
that's
not
the
know
3 of
about
you,
it.
but it wasn't something that they were trying to hide.
And at least 2 of these people are very versed in politics, so they
Relatively.
understand what's going on.
Here's the thing: if we were to sit down and analyze the behavior of the last two Democratic presidents, Clinton and Obama,
Mm-hmm.
they are guilty of a lot of bad things.
Mm-hmm.
They're guilty of a lot of good things too. If we're going to be intellectually honest, we have to at least acknowledge that.
Yes.
The problem is that Trump is something different. He glorifies it. Like what you were saying, you hear about it. He talks about it. He's proud of it. Trump or Obama and Clinton, I don't think they were proud of some of the things they had to do.
Because they had to do it. Because
A lot of it. Some of it they didn't. The drone issue with Obama didn't have to be done. NAFTA did not have to be done. It was
Well, NAFTA was a
they
George
were-
Bush thing.
Still, a lot of things happened because of things Clinton did.
Yeah.
He had to sign some stuff too. Those things did not have to be done. Those were done for political reasons or judgment calls that we don't know all the details. But still, they did not have to be done. So there's guilt on our side too.
Always.
But none of them took pride in gassing innocent people.
See, but here's
None
the
of them
thing.
took
Hold
pride
on.
in taking children away.
Right.
None of them took pride in subverting the very core of our democracy
And
the way he does. That's the difference.
the other thing is, to a certain extent, what happened at the border was justified.
Oh yeah.
It has, and it was before. So you had a group of people who were charging the border, basically, is what they were doing, and that's so they're. Could they have gone about it a different way? Probably, but I don't necessarily have a big problem with them shooting tear gas into a crowd, into a mob, basically.
Okay.
That's
What about all the immigrants who are standing in line in Tijuana, who are like legitimately trying to do the legal way of getting into the country? No one's even talking about those.
okay.
And how big was this mob? Because I haven't
don't
heard
know.
that much detail. Because
Would it be the same if we all charged the Canadian border? Would people still be tear gassing us, or would they be like, "Come on in"? Let's
No,
get
Well,
your
see,
passport."
It's actually not easy to get into Canada.
Oh,
we
bullshit.
have to. We just
You
have to
can't-
have an enhanced license, and we
no,
go.
because that's for like a short trip. Yes, getting into
You can-
Canada,
and then
but
you can stay, and nobody will know you're there.
but to immigrate to Canada is a lot harder than you think it is.
Well, all these people wanted a short trip.
So
right?
Canada
just on vacation.
Canada actually
We don't
goes
know
off,
what they want.
Canada goes off of a point-based system, and you have to prove
Yes,
that you're a benefit to
immigration.
the country. But that's
But the point is, the bridge is it's a thoroughfare. You can go across the bridge with no problem.
yes.
Are there 5,000 Canadian troops guarding the border?
No.
And
No.
no, and in defense,
They don't have that many
The Pentagon
troops.
is pulling back all those troops, by the way.
Which is good,
and,
they
and they've
should.
acknowledged that it was a political stunt for the midterms.
Yes,
they've
they have.
acknowledged that. But yeah, to your point, yeah, Canada's not guarded by military troops. They're guarded by immigration, like
Yeah.
ours is on our side.
One little guy standing there. Do you have anything to claim? No, sir.
Nope.
Okay, I'm coming in. Thank you.
Yeah. You
Have
look a
fun.
little shady. Let's search your car. All
Yeah.
right, you're good. Go ahead. You know.
Oh,
You're
there's
a
some
bunch of drunk
there's some
girls
pot
in a limo.
growing out your floorboards. You're getting strip searched.
That's only with my husband.
Right? Yes. It wasn't his car that the pot was growing.
No, it
in,
was
was it?
not mine.
Ah,
No, it was not.
that's rough.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which actually, for anyone listening, that was brought up as a point. Although pot is going to be legal in both Michigan and Canada,
You can't
do
transport.
not
trans-
cross the border
No.
with it.
Yes.
You will get screwed either way. Those are federal agents.
Yep.
You will get screwed.
I would
Don't
say it's
do it.
probably not a good idea to be transporting it around anywhere.
No.
Other than
Within
from
Michigan
a
is
store
Yes,
to your
exactly,
home. Right.
exactly.
Within Michigan,
I
I
think-
think you're fine. Just don't leave the
And I
state.
think you're allowed to have up to 10 pounds. I think in
But
or
it's
10
not
ounces.
until when?
It's ounces. It's
Is-
not
yeah,
pounds.
10 ounces
December
in your
6th?
car. in your
December,
home.
yeah.
I mean,
Only
Yeah.
less than a week.
Only until December 6th. And you still are going to be penalized if you have it for work, if you have it in your... It's the same thing as alcohol.
oh yeah.
You can't...
And
And
if
that's
you,
that's the whole point of it. Is,
And if you
But
work
I,
at a
think, I
job-
don't know that everybody realizes that.
right, yeah.
yeah.
Like, you can't just bring it to work with you and smoke a
Well, I think-
marijuana break.
I think
Like,
a lot
not
of that.
cigarette
I think
break,
some of
like-
that confusion has to do with some of the TV commercials that were running during the election,
But it's not-
where they
it's
talked
not
about how
No.
people are going to be stoned driving around, or they'd be stoned at work.
There
If
was
you
no
think of it like
commercials
alcohol,
like
you're
that.
fine.
Yeah.
Truly.
Yeah, there was no
Well-
commercials
Just don't go
like
to
that.
Ohio because they're gonna be policing the border. I swear to God, don't go. down to
5,000
Toledo.
Ohio troops standing them at the border.
I'm gonna
Keep
get
those
these fuckers.
keep those
Sounds
druggy
relevant.
hippies down in
Right.
Michigan. I'd be like, you know what? Fine, I'll just go through Indiana because Ohio sucks anyway.
Yeah, so does Indiana.
You want to like
Yeah, but
drive to
yeah,
the border
true.
and park,
What-
True.
and then toke up.
But if you got to go through, a shitty state, you got to go through a shitty state.
Yeah, so Ohio is nothing but a bunch of farmland.
Right.
Indiana is nothing but a bunch of fucking trees
Well, I'd rather look at trees than farmland.
and farmland.
Yeah, tree.
That's what I'm saying. It's all kind of the same, but
And
a lot of nothing in
And
between
Indy,
cities.
isn't Indiana the hometown of, or the home state of
Mike Pence?
Mike Pence,
Yes.
yeah. It loses at least 60 points right
yeah,
there.
yeah.
So,
Fucking
But-
Pence.
no, the
If
Republicans
he
are
would come out of the
known.
closet, he'd be all set.
You know what? No.
He is. He's so far in the closet.
Perhaps.
He found
But I want him
Narnia.
to stay in the closet because that would be detrimental to the gay community if he came out.
Hey,
It would be like
You're not
a
wrong.
black mark on their community, and I want him to stay
You're
as far
right.
in the closet as he possibly can.
Speaking of that, I didn't see until just recently that I guess the incoming Attorney General in Michigan is the first LGBT person to hold a statewide office in Michigan.
No, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either until I was reading some stuff up on the
Doesn't affect
lame
my
duck.
vote. But
Yeah, because nor should it, But well, I guess if you got a Republican and a homosexual, you're always going to vote for the homosexual, regardless, right?
So, Ian, I have to issue a correction. I believe I was wrong.
Okay.
The chickenpox virus is a variation on the herpes virus.
Okay.
Oh,
So you were right. I was wrong.
it was South Park that was right.
Yes, it was. It was. I just wanted
And like
to
Mandy
correct
said, I
myself.
get all my information from cartoons, so that's
Sitting here Googling that,
and now
I'm
we've
like,
established
well,
that the cartoons are correct,
and
Even
indeed.
Space Ghost?
coast to coast. Yes, absolutely. I just turned my headphones down. That was really weird. When you have the sound of us talking in there and it just cuts out.
Cuts out?
It's like,
Yeah,
it's-
I've because Ian's wearing the headphones I normally wear. So yeah, I've done that quite a few times.
yeah.
But I don't I just turn them back up and be.
So
move
you
on.
don't make a big deal about it.
Yeah, I'll make a big deal about
You
it.
don't bring it up to the audience.
No, that's all right, Trump. Go ahead and just say what you need to say.
What the fuck does that have to do with Trump?
Because he always brags about everything he does.
I wasn't bragging. I said this is fucking weird. It was fucking weird. It sounded weird. It caught me off guard.
Bigly.
You're lucky I'm not.
Hugely.
Usually that's what I.
Have you seen SNL's skits they've done on the Trump sons?
No,
They did one. They were on Weekend Update, and they make Eric out to be like special because I want to use the R word,
Thank you.
Yes.
and it's just pretty funny. If you haven't watched, you should YouTube. It's pretty funny.
I think I have them all on my DVR. I just never watch them.
Yeah. Well, you can watch them on Hulu too.
Yeah.
Well, at the rate we're going, so we've every time someone gets convicted, they're disavowed, and they're nothing more than a coffee boy.
Right.
So pretty soon it's going to be his kids. He was like a low grade kid.
Yeah.
Did nothing but a coffee boy. Barely knew him.
Right.
Yeah. That's
Well,
what
that's
it's going to be.
Yeah, that's what they were doing. They're interviewing the brothers, the sons, and they were talking about how the Trump Tower that was supposed to go to Moscow.
Yeah.
Because now that's come out.
Right.
And they're like, no, Dad didn't have anything to do with it. That was all us. We're running the show.
Yeah, uh-huh.
And he's, Eric just keeps like saying dumb shit, I want crackers or something, that kind of thing. And he gives him a bag of Cheerios to eat, like he would a kid. And he's like, no, it was just, Trump Jr. says, no, it was just me and Eric. And Eric goes, and Dad. He's like, no, it wasn't Dad. He goes, and Dad. It was kind of a Rain Man situation. It was pretty funny.
my cat's breath smells like cat food.
Right. Yeah. So it's pretty funny. SNL does, when it comes to their political jokes and skits, they're usually pretty good.
No.
They're good, but it's like real life is outpacing satire at an astronomical
For the most
rate.
part.
True, but I think SNL's kept up pretty well considering.
They've tried.
They've tried. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's really hard.
It's brutal. Yeah, it is. We live in brutal times when it comes to that kind of thing.
I don't know, but that's about all I had, Ian. I don't know.
Well, there's the Creed thing.
Oh, yeah.
You read it more recently than I did, so I think you should talk about it. I read it like 5 days ago.
Well, you did a better job summarizing it before we started. I don't remember what it was
oh
all
my god,
about now.
somebody's talk about some shit. Jesus Christ.
It was basically this. It was an article. I'm bringing it up now so I can read it.
What happened was
That Creed kind of corrected the whole.
Well, some
white-
racial injustices to a degree. That the Rocky series, at its core, subconsciously, was about maintaining a subconscious white supremacy over athletics.
oh
Which, real quick though, Ian. So in the beginning of the article, the guy is talking about how
You should have just taken over and
you've
talked
got-
about the article.
you've got the whatever.
well you hooked him, so now he's gonna do it.
Well, early in the article, it's talking about how you've got the white boxer in Rocky
Yep.
that fights a black boxer,
Right.
in every movie,
Apollo. Or, okay.
Well, never
which
mind.
is
every movie.
not true.
Okay.
Well,
It's only 2 fucking characters, really.
true characters.
If you
right.
if you take out Mason Dixon, which
Well, but I think he's really kind of focusing on the first 4 movies.
if you look at the first 5 movies,
yeah, he focuses more on the
there's
first 4.
Apollo Creed and Clubber Lang. That's it. 2 black guys.
Right.
Right.
He doesn't fight. He fights a white guy in 4.
Right.
Fights a white guy in 5.
But he fights but see, they bring that up. He fights
they
the
fight
white
the
guy
other
to
one, then?
avenge the black guy's death.
Yeah, we're
He's
not gonna
righting
talk about the
that
Russian
wrong.
guy?
He's righting the wrong.
He was
It's
white.
again.
I think it's just a bullshit premise, really.
Well, I mean-
I think you're reading. The guy that wrote the article
I
is
was gonna say, I'm
reading
not
way
reading
too
into
fucking
it.
far into it.
I read it and I wasn't entirely sure how I felt about it because I don't necessarily agree with their point, but I can
Especially
see
since
where it's coming from.
the
to a
premise
degree.
of the whole series was something that Sylvester Stallone took from real life.
right. Well, and
It wasn't like he was sitting down and like subconsciously like, we need more white
Boxers.
more white stars in movies.
Right.
Somebody to really cheer on.
Right.
No, that's not what it was about. He went to a Muhammad Ali fight where Muhammad Ali was fighting some schlub.
Right.
And so he based Apollo Creed off of Muhammad Ali,
Right.
and he
But they
based
bring that up
the
in the
Rocky
article.
character off of the schlub he was fighting.
Right.
So I think he's reading way too far into it. It's I don't know.
No, I get what you're saying, and I agree for the most part. Like I said, it wasn't that I agreed or disagreed with the article. I just thought it would be an interesting thing to talk about because even if I did disagree with it, it's better to talk about the shit than to to
I just
disregard
think
it
it's
altogether.
once again I think it's more 2018 revisionist bullshit that we do with everything else.
Right.
When people talk about Friends, you should see all the bad stuff that was in Friends. Well, Friends was a show that was on TV 20 years ago, so
Right.
you can't take what happened.
Mine does.
Yeah, you can't take what happened 20 years ago and put it in the present
Right.
and judge it the same.
Are we not going to talk about how Dolph Lundgren had a chemical engineering degree
In real life?
in real life?
Yeah.
I think I did remember reading
Yeah.
that
Just
somewhere.
making sure. We all
He's
know
he's
that.
in Creed 2. It's really good, actually, surprisingly.
Well,
Nick and I went and saw it the other
reprised
day.
the role.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was really good.
Nice.
Yeah, he's training his son, who's
So
that's the whole point.
Apollo
the
Creed's
man who
son
killed
is- yeah.
the man who killed Apollo Creed is training his son to fight Apollo Creed's son.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So when it first came out, I was like, "Come on!" It sounded really kind of dumb,
It does.
But they did
but it's
well.
actually really fucking good.
All right.
It's
Because
a really
they
good movie.
The movies are good now.
Yeah.
Movies are done really well.
Movies
They
can
are.
be good now.
Yeah, they can.
All right, are we going to talk about Once Upon a Deadpool?
I saw the ad. I saw like a poster for it at the theater. What is that?
Oh my gosh, I want to play the trailer now.
I don't even know what it is.
I don't
Is
even
it a
know what it
movie?
is.
Yes, you have to.
They made a Christmas
How do you
Deadpool movie.
How do you not know about this?
I know nothing
I
about
don't
it.
know
my
if it-
God.
I still
I saw-
haven't seen Deadpool 2.
Me neither.
Can we like pause it or something?
We can watch
We'll
that after
it
the
after.
show. We'll watch it after the show.
Why don't you just give us a little
Okay.
little rundown of
They
what it's
made a
supposed to be?
PG-13 cut of Deadpool 2, but Fred Savage is involved, a la Princess Bride. He's been kidnapped by Deadpool to read it. I'm taking Luke to see it. Seriously. I'm not joking.
Jack was
Okay.
really excited.
It looks amazing.
Okay.
I'm just looking at your face. It's like a kid on Christmas. I swear to God. You look like I did when I got my first that one Christmas when I got the speeder bikes from Return of the Jedi.
Ah.
Because that's all I wanted. I wanted the speeder bikes because you push a little button and they exploded.
Ooh.
Well, not really. They just popped apart, but they snapped right together.
Mommy, I blew my fucking hand off!
But they, that's how I looked. The look on your face is how I looked when I opened that up and I had my speeder bikes from Return of the Jedi, Christmas of '83.
But yeah,
Not to age myself here.
83, yeah. It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll check it out after. We'll watch it.
Yeah,
after.
we'll watch it because it's. I mean, I saw the billboard thingy, the poster thingy for it, and I was like, I was even going to ask you, but I just.
I don't even remember seeing it.
It was right when we came out of the theater. It was like.
Oh, I wasn't paying attention.
Honestly,
Yeah.
Autumn and RJ told me about it.
Yeah.
So really, it's just a PG-13 cut of Deadpool 2 with added footage of
I think it.
Fred Savage reading The Princess
I
Bride
think
to
there's some additional
Deadpool.
cuts in there. I'm not entirely sure. It comes out in about 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I'm gonna find out.
because I'd be really disappointed if I watch Deadpool 2, the unrated, the R-rated, whatever version, and I'm like, ooh, another Deadpool, and I go in and I see Deadpool 2, but in edited version.
PG
I'd be like,
form.
a little upset about that.
I feel like it's gonna be better than that.
Okay, I mean, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt.
I'm going to give Ryan Reynolds the benefit of the
Ryan
doubt.
Reynolds.
Yeah, I wasn't
gonna
sold
do a
on
great
a
job.
Deadpool movie in the first
Which-
place, and then when the first one came out, I mean that was a
Another
fantastic
one you might
movie.
have to see when we're done with this. You're going to hate me for this. Have you seen the preview for Detective Pikachu?
I did actually. I'll wait for digital download. I'm not going to go to the theater to see it because I was never a Pokemon. Pokemon came. I was well
I
into
hate
my
Pokemon.
I was well into my late teens, early 20s before that was a thing, and obviously way too old for
Yeah.
it. So
Pokemon
All of our kids love it.
yeah.
sucks for them.
Well, they don't have much else to look up to. Yeah,
That's
we had
true.
a shit ton of cool stuff.
That's true.
They don't have it anymore.
They didn't have a shit ton. They have a shit ton of cool stuff.
No, they have a shit ton of shit.
No, we had nothing. We had sticks and
Yeah,
rocks.
and our own imaginations, and then the stuff we did have. We had, you had like My Little Ponies and Rainbow Bright and Strawberry Shortcake.
yeah, once a week.
Well, it's not about quantity; it's about quality.
Was it really quality?
Yeah,
Can
maybe
we-
not so
so.
much. Not
Can-
so
can
much
we
in
go back
retrospect.
and watch the show
But it was
and
cool
see
at the
if it
time.
was?
But it's still better than the shit you see now. We had the real Transformers. We had
Yeah.
G.I. Joe. We had He-Man.
I really love Teen Titans, though.
Oh, that Teen Titans Go.
Yeah,
That's garbage.
it's not.
It's garbage.
It's not.
Mandy, I love you, but it's
No,
garbage.
it's not.
I-
It's so entertaining.
No,
I mean, I wish they watched a lot of other stuff, but
no.
They watch a lot of Teen Titans Go.
Yeah,
And The
it's always on every time I come over
and
here.
The Simpsons always.
See, The Simpsons are fine. That's quality. That's quality, and there's quantity there too.
Is there?
Well, you have 600 episodes.
Well,
to watch.
I mean, like I was talking about quality. But
No, it's quality. Even some of the new stuff. I've seen a few of the newer
Okay.
episodes.
Yeah,
I,
they're okay.
the only
A lot
thing
of
I
it
was going
I'm
to
like, I think we need to turn this off right now.
yeah. See, the only thing is I don't see the pushing the boundaries you were talking about. But I
Have
mean,
you watched recently?
I've watched a few of the newer episodes. Yeah, I haven't
Mm.
seen it, so I don't know.
That's about all I got. Anyone
Yeah.
else have anything you want to talk about?
I don't know. I mean, I don't see anything racist about the original Rocky movies. And,
Yeah, I just thought that guy was kind of
I mean,
reaching.
granted, I'm white, so maybe that's
Maybe
why.
it's-
But
maybe, but-
I just don't see it. But what I do see in Rocky, it's not even about sports movies. It's to me, it's about I don't know. It's almost like kind of old school like warrior stories.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's just I really felt like he was kind of reaching on all that.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't even know if the person who wrote the article, because I think it's actually two people. I don't know if they're black or white or what. It doesn't matter.
There
And
was a picture, but I don't think I really looked at it.
if they feel that way, I mean, I can't diminish how they feel about it,
Yeah.
because if that's how they feel, then that's their right to feel that way. But yeah, I've always found the Rocky movies, like I said, it's kind of about a warrior. It's
just kind of
kind of a reluctant warrior at that, in
I guess
a
I don't
modern
really
sense.
remember the
It's like
movies. What is-
fighting
what is-
back
hold up,
against your
What was he a
upbringing.
warrior from? Like, did he have a bad?
He was a bum, basically. And
Yeah,
just,
I mean,
He's got a chip on his shoulder the size of,
But-
New York.
Did he come from a bad place?
he was poor.
he was
Yeah,
poor.
He was poor.
Wasn't everybody poor back then?
No.
He was Italian, so that was part of it.
Yeah.
Well-
in Philly. I mean, you need to watch the movies again because they're really
he was
not
poor,
they're-
and
they're not boxing movies,
Apollo,
they're dramas.
Apollo Creed wanted a white snowflake to beat up in the ring, basically.
And he thought
he thought
They wanted-
a white
he-
guy was.
Well, no,
Rocky.
he just wanted to schlub.
Italian
He wanted
guy.
to, he wanted
Italian.
he wanted to schlub. He didn't want. It didn't matter what color he was. He just
Well,
wanted to
no,
schlub.
in the first Rocky movie, he said he referenced a snowflake.
Yeah, but I think that came again. You could be reaching on that too.
No, because he said
he
white
wanted-
snowflake.
He wanted
But-
he wanted to schlub. He
That's-
didn't matter. He
it
wanted
didn't
to
matter.
schlub.
Correct. He just wanted somebody.
He wanted
could,
someone he could kick the shit out of.
He wanted
make some money. And
he
be done
wanted a
with it.
warm up fight, is what
Oh
it
Yeah.
was.
God, those movies were hokey as hell. Come on.
The Rocky movies?
Yes.
Oh, they're fucking awesome.
No,
Thunderlips? Really?
That was the whole
That
point
was-
of it so that was actually
I
taken
will
from real
break
life. The whole Thunderlips fight was something that was taken from real life. Where I don't remember the boxer's name, but he did a exhibition fight against a wrestler, and
What about the Russian guy?
it's just a character.
I'm gonna.
Yes, I
I'm
know.
here.
What I'm saying,
I'll play
don't,
devil's.
like, make it all historical and shit.
I'll play devil's advocate here.
Do it.
I do find the fourth Rocky to be a little hokey. I do. I find the premise is a little hokey. It's too American exceptionalism,
but it's an '80s movie.
but it's an '80s movie.
Yes,
But I still
yes.
like it for what it is. The other Rocky movies, they're not hokey. They're not. There's nothing hokey about it. It's pure
Rocky
drama.
versus
It's not
the
about.
Russian guy. That was the
That's
American
4.
exec-
That's what I'm talking about. That's
Was
part
it?
4.
Yes, that was 4.
Okay, sure.
All right, so that makes sense.
All right, I have them mixed up.
That. I'll agree. That premise is hokey. It's well done, but it is a little hokey.
Yeah, because 1 and 2 he fought Apollo Creed. 3 he fought Clubber Lang. 4 was Drago, and then 5 was Tommy Morrison.
Tommy
Which
Gunn.
one was
Well,
Thunder
Tommy
Lips?
Morrison was real
Right.
lame, but
Which one
6
was Hulk Hogan?
That was 3.
yeah.
There you go.
But that's one. That's one
But that was
5-minute
it
part
was
of
an
the movie.
exhibition fight earlier in the movie.
The premise of 3 is Rocky's the champion after the second one. He wins the belt. He's the champion.
Yeah.
But he's getting old. As far as boxers go, he's old. He's already washed up at that point.
True.
So Mickey, his manager, is like throwing these like schlubs at him to keep his belt and to keep him boxing and keep him going. And Clubber comes along and knows that and says, "No, I want a chance. I want to fight this guy." And Rocky does, and he gets his ass kicked. And then he's got to pull himself back up because Mickey dies. His best friend in the whole wide world dies.
His manager.
And he's got to pull himself up. And it's Apollo who helps to train him to fight differently, to be a different type of fighter.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And
Yeah.
it's about the drama. And now it's about
Apollo trained him?
Yeah.
And
It's,
there-
it's
and there's
about
a-
forging a new friendship based on mutual respect for what had happened in the previous
so
two.
why is the Creed fascination now? Like,
Because Apollo and Rocky became friends. They became best friends. And then Apollo dies in the fourth one fighting the Russian.
Yeah.
The Russian kills him in the ring.
Yeah.
so why does he want to fight Rocky's? Like,
Because after Rocky goes to Russia and fights the Russian and beats him, his whole life is destroyed by that. Because in Russia, it was a communist country.
He's
He's
shunned basically.
He's shunned.
Gotcha.
And his son and him were raised. His wife left them both, and he was basically left destitute. So he's training his son to be a boxer. He wasn't training him to one day fight Apollo's son.
Yeah.
But when that happened, when when Adonis now is in the limelight and the champion, he was a champion at that point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now they're like, okay, this is our redemption because we can get this fight. This fight will.
It was
sell.
really a promoter. A promoter
promoter
stepped in.
sold
and
the- yeah.
And it was the way that Creed 2 plays out was it was more the promoter's idea
Right.
than Ivan Drago's.
But
idea.
Ivan sees it as a way
Opportunity.
to boost, and it works. I don't want to spoil the movie, but it does work
That's
to
fine.
a point. But there, you got to look beyond the surface. Rocky, you see boxing movies, you see Stallone as an action star. Those are dramas.
Yeah, they are.
They're straight dramas, and the warrior part I talk about is just the equivalency. It's not about war or anything else. It's about this drive to fight, even though it's against everything else. You know, the first fight was he went in there. He was not expected to even go one round or 2 rounds or something. He went 15 rounds with the world champion,
Yeah.
and he was a schlub. The second one, everyone kind of turned on Apollo because you almost got beat by a schlub. He
Yeah.
lost. Apollo won that fight, but by decision. So Apollo now his pride is hurt because Rocky went toe to toe with him. So he wants a rematch. Rocky doesn't want it. Mickey doesn't want it. But Rocky's struggling. He's got a kid on the way. His wife's pregnant. She's gonna have a baby. And this is the only thing he's ever had. He's had this or a life of crime because he worked as an enforcer for a mob boss.
Yeah.
So he can either do that and not be able to provide for his family, or he can do this one fight again
And be set.
and be set.
Yeah.
And he ends up winning and becomes the world champion.
Yeah.
And then the third one is about
He gets knocked back down.
He gets knocked back down because he's not. He didn't when he became champion. He didn't bring that honor to it because he thought he was unstoppable because Mickey was throwing these schlubs at him. And then he loses Mickey. He loses the fight. Now it's a matter of pride for him. But he has to learn to fight differently, and he forges a friendship with Apollo. And there's just way more depth to these movies than the surface. You got to give them a chance.
I mean, I'm sure I've seen them all, but I just don't remember. Because I can remember everything about when he loses Mickey and everything.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I remember that. I
Right.
remember locker room scenes. I remember. I guess I just.
And they actually make a
forgot.
comment. The announcers in the Clubber Lang fight make a comment about how Apollo Creed had taught Rocky how to fight like a black man.
Right. Did they say that in this one?
What's that?
They said that in the article.
Did they? I'm gonna
Yeah,
see that.
they brought that up in the article because it wasn't about being trained to fight differently. It was about being trained to fight as a black man.
Yeah.
The way with rhythm and because even Paulie says it. He's like, he says that in Rocky 3 because they quote that line. He says, "You're trained to be a black boxer." He's not black. He doesn't have the rhythm.
Oh, maybe it was Paulie that said
Paulie
that.
said that in the third one.
I thought it was
yeah.
the announcers that said
He doesn't
that.
have the rhythm. But Paulie was a racist.
Yeah.
So that's okay. It's that character is racist, and it's fine to look at him and say you're a racist. But the overall stories are not.
Yeah. And there's also like different, like 1 and 2 is very different than 3 and 4.
Right.
And then 5 is different than the 4 before it. So there's no, I think with a lot of movie series like that, franchises,
They get repetitive.
They get repetitive. And I don't think the Rocky franchise really has done that.
And people argue that 5 is the worst, and I disagree. I think Rocky 5 is up there. I like
6 is the worst.
Yeah, I don't like 6 as much. But
Jeebus, how many were there?
well, if you count Creed as part of the series, Creed 2 is 8.
Yeah.
It's the 8th Rocky
So
movie.
there were 6 Rockies and then 2 Creeds.
Yes.
Creeds, yes.
It was 1 through 5, then 6 was called Rocky Balboa, which is terrible. He like fights the champion loses like a video game.
Yeah,
Or,
ESPN does this like a fantasy match between like a classic boxer and the new champion.
So it's not real fighting.
No, it is.
It is.
But,
It was a video
but
game,
Mason
you said.
Dixon is the champion, and they do this.
He's also got the worst name of the series.
right, and he in this virtual fantasy fight because of style and everything else, Rocky comes out on top. So they're like, we want to fight. We got to fight Rocky to prove this, but he's old.
It's like
Rocky
50s.
Rocky wants to fight. He just wants to do an exhibition match. He wants to show that he can still do it at his age. So it's part of him trying to convince the boxing board to let him fight. And it's a lot of stuff with his son because his son is kind of living in his shadow in Philadelphia. He's Rocky's kid.
it.
He's Rocky's kid. Plus, his wife's dead now. There's
Yeah,
that whole
When you've had 6 movies, I think it's done already.
Well, it is.
Yeah, way done.
Because now it's on the Creed.
Yeah, now it's Creed's story.
Okay, so we should have done 3 and then 2 Creed movies.
Well, it's tough to do Son of Apollo Creed if he's only like 10.
Yeah. Or he
It
like
was
just
freaking,
died.
Or
like,
just
40
born.
years later. Give me a break.
No, Adonis Creed is in his early 30s.
Okay, and when did the Rocky
Well, I
movies?
don't even know. He's probably late 20s.
Well,
I guess he'd have to be.
he would have to be in his 30s because Apollo dies in 85.
Well, yeah. Was it? I thought it was 88. The 4 came out.
85.
Okay.
They even said it in the movie.
2005. That
Okay.
They
would've
said,
been plenty
We're
enough
still
time.
pushing 30 years.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Slice
still.
it.
Yeah.
well, and
We
since
could
then,
have stopped.
and since 85, they only did 2 Rocky movies after that. So in 30 years, they only did 2 more Rockies.
That was 5 and 6.
Yeah, because 5, they're the Russian who kills Apollo, and Rocky fights at the end. He wins, but that fight breaks him. It damages him.
Mm-hmm.
In the beginning of part 5, he's having like tremors. They're like, "You can't fight anymore. You're gonna die," and he also loses all his money. So
Yeah.
he's got to go back to Philly, back to that
To restaurant.
Well, the restaurant comes in part 6,
All right, stop.
but he's poor again. He loses all of his money because Paulie had.
That's what every rich person does.
Yeah.
Well, some of them do.
Yes,
But now,
a lot of them.
he's got to go back, And I like 5. I know I can see what some of the things people have against it, but I like 5 because I think it's humbling. It's a humbling story.
Yeah, and I think the 2 Creed movies are
At
2
the
of the
top
best
of the
of
they're,
the series.
They're
I
up
loved
there.
Creed, the first Creed.
Yeah, and the second one is
I haven't
almost
seen that
as
yet.
good.
If you like the first Creed, you should like the
You'll
first
li-
Rocky
you'll-
because there's a lot of similarities
Yeah.
there to
There
it.
is.
Obviously, Adonis isn't a street thug, but the dynamics are the same. Trying to prove himself, trying to be something more than what he is, and throwing the father-son dynamic too. But he's trying to live up to the image of a father figure he never knew
Yeah.
because he never met Apollo. He was born after he died. So, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know how. I'm not a sports person, but the Rocky movies are fantastic.
They
I
are.
love every one of them. Even though I said I don't like 6 as much,
I still
love
watch it.
all of them. And to me, the Creed and the Rocky movies are all one story. They fit perfect together.
Yep.
So next episode, we're going to talk about baseball movies.
We could.
We could have a whole.
I
We
love
could have a really long
baseball
conversation about
movies.
baseball movies.
Again, I don't like sports, but typically
I
baseball
love
movies
baseball
are
movies.
fantastic. They are awesome. Yes.
Yeah, let's not get started with that. 'cause
Thank you. Thank you.
We've already run
Well, at
an hour
least-
and 10 minutes.
At
so-
least we know what episode Mandy will do next. She'll do the baseball movie.
Yeah,
we
do
could.
the baseball
Yeah, we could
movies.
definitely do a show about that. But I don't know. Anything else, guys? That's,
That's really all I came in with. So
oh, okay. I mean,
Nope,
Yeah.
I'm good.
yeah,
well, I think.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank
you.
Eric and Mandy for being on the show with us, and I'm sure we'll do something all together again.
probably soon.
Baseball movies and New Year's card games.
Yeah, the card games on New Year's turned out pretty good last year.
Yeah.
So we might do something like that again.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, any questions or comments, you can email us at contact@lifeandjournalpodcast.com. Check us out on Twitter and Facebook and all that jazz, and check out our website. It's got all of our previous episodes on there.
Yeah.
That's about all I got.
Well, shut it down then. Damn it!
All right. Well, until
Shut
next-
your fucking mouth.
shut your whore mouth.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Well, until next time.
Talk to y'all later.
Peace.
Play my role, let me tell you about it. This shit right here, man, I'm about it. Only real niggas reside around me. Yo, old lady, drop a crowd around me. Dip like I know you can, bitch. Show me the ropes like we in the ring. Got you two cobras, you wanna hang. Shoulder to shoulder, them niggas basic. You know I won't lie. You know that I ain't for that fuck shit. You niggas alright, but I'm way better and she love it. Know that y'all sick as fuck. Here go this tissue, bro. We taking the dub, hoping you get you some. This hit like a pick me up. She taking my drugs. Know they see the sign. That's some dollar signs. Know they sick as fuck. Know they sick as fuck. Tell them get well soon. Tell them get well soon. Know you sick as fuck. Get well soon.
Oh shit, watch out, you the car, Billy. Oh shit, right now, and I'm smiling in your face, bitch, with a gold smile. You should probably make placement to your eye. Niggas sick as fuck, standing with niggas who down for that party, who down for some bitches who showing their bodies. Swear to God, nigga, this Molly got me up and rolling. These bodies of water, bring that shit in bottles. We mosh at the party, that hit when we stylin'.